There are only two countries in the world that don't guarantee paid vacation. Is it Syria? Nope, they get 14 days. Venezuela? 15 days. Congo? 12 days. North Korea? 14 days. Micronesia and the US are the only two countries in the world that don't guarantee paid vacation.
Even North Koreans get more vacation than Americans?
Okay, nobody wants to live in North Korea, but the fact is, the US is the only developed country, well, one of only a few countries in the world where paid vacation is not a legal right. And even if Americans do get vacation, we don't take them. Now, this puzzles a lot of Europeans. And I spent 10 years in corporate America, and I didn't understand what was puzzling until I went and worked in Europe for 7 years. There I saw people getting and taking 5-6 weeks of vacation. So in this video, we're going to explore what does paid vacation look like in the US, Europe, the rest of the world. Which country do you think gets the most? Why don't Americans get and take vacation, and why Europeans do? And lastly, I'll share some eye-opening stats that inspired me to actually take my vacation. Now, this isn't about bashing the American system. It's about improving the quality of life for people. And there's a lot we can learn from Europe. And to change the future, we need to look at the past. Because even in Europe, paid vacation wasn't always a thing.
In the 1800s, the idea of a vacation was almost unheard of. People worked a lot, and leisure was only for the rich. But things began to shift in the early 1900s with industrialization. In fact, in 1910, US President William Taft suggested Americans should get 2 to 3 months off every year. But that never happened. Meanwhile, things did start to change in Europe, especially after the First World War. Leaders saw time off as good for health, productivity, and social stability. And by the 1920s, paid vacation became law in several European countries. Then came World War II, which devastated Europe. Afterward, many European countries developed welfare states to strengthen labor rights and social benefits. And slowly, many European countries would make it law to guarantee paid vacation for all. The US, on the other hand, had a booming economy. Employers started offering paid vacation to attract workers, and unions negotiated paid vacation. But as a country, the US committed to a more hands-off, free market approach. Let the companies decide. European countries would slowly add a week more vacation in the 50s, 60s, 70s. By the 90s, European countries would guarantee 4 to 5 weeks of paid vacation by law. And today, almost every country in the world guarantees paid vacation, except Micronesia and the US.
One of the biggest differences I noticed between European and American work culture was in the summertime. Because right now, it's summer and Europeans are literally out of office. But for many Americans, the office is never too far away. Many people say Europeans work to live and Americans live to work. Well, first off, it's because EU law actually guarantees a minimum of 20 paid vacation days. And that's pretty much standard all across Europe. But
Which country gives the most minimum paid vacation days by law?
If you guess Europe, not quite. A lot of countries, many in Africa and the Middle East, guarantee 30 days of paid vacation. Places like Yemen, Niger, Kuwait, Monaco, Equatorial Guinea, Algeria, Libya, and more. And no surprise in Europe, all countries give at least 20 paid days per year. In Latin America, countries like Brazil, Panama, and Peru also give 30 days. In China, you start with 5 days, then 10, then 15. In Japan, the minimum is 10 days. In South Korea, it's 15. Even North Korea guarantees 14 days. In Australia, the minimum is 20 days. In North America, Canadians get at least 10. And the US? 0.
now, these are legal minimums. Many employers give more. And in many countries, paid vacation also depends on different policies.
For example, in France, the law guarantees at least 25 paid vacation days. But if you work more than a standard 35-hour work week, you earn extra days off called RTT. So someone working 37 to 39 hours a week can get another 10 to 20 days off. That means French employees can actually get more than 40 paid vacation days. In the Netherlands, the legal minimum is 20 days, but a lot of people also get 30 and even over 40 days off. It's not uncommon to find companies that let you buy extra vacation days by trading your salary too. In Australia, the law guarantees at least 20 days, but employees also get a paid long service leave of 6 to 13 weeks after 7 to 10 years of service.
Another thing that matters is paid public holidays too.
Now, what about which country guarantees the most paid vacation days, including public holidays?
Iran tops the list, at least 53 paid days off every year, the most in the world. And all these other countries from San Marino to Yemen to Madagascar also give more than 40 paid leave days per year.
Now, which country guarantees the least?
Micronesia and the US.
Now, which country gives on average the most paid vacation days by employer?
According to an Expedia study, France came out on top with 31 days of paid vacation. And many European employers also give around 30 days of paid vacation too. This doesn't include the entire world, and it varies employer to employer, so...
Let's do our own research. Tell us in the comments below, which country are you from? What job do you do? And how many days of paid vacation do you get per year? And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video.
Most Americans do actually get vacation from their employers. The average is around 11, 12 days or 2 weeks. But here's the reality. 1 in 4 American workers get no paid vacations or holidays at all. And even when Americans do get vacation, half never use it all. In fact, Americans today take fewer vacations than they used to. It also doesn't help when leaders say there are already too many non-working holidays. Yet, surveys show 65% of Americans feel like they don't take enough vacation.
So if most Americans feel like they don't take enough vacation, yet half of them don't even use up all their vacation, why don't Americans take more vacation? And why do Europeans do? 3 reasons. 1, culture. 2, law and policy. And 3, system design. But first, let me tell you a story. In my first job in corporate America, I fortunately had 5 weeks of vacation, but like 50% of Americans, I didn't use up all 5 weeks. And when I worked in the Netherlands, I also had 5 weeks of vacation. And in my first year, I didn't know I could use up all 5 weeks. But then I saw everyone else take their vacation days, even their first years. And then my colleague, now friend, told me that I was stupid for not using up my vacation days. In the US, we don't see people taking all their vacation days, and as humans, we tend to follow the crowd. So when we don't see everyone around us taking all their vacation, we also don't take our vacations. But in Europe, what I noticed, everyone around me, from juniors to senior leaders, they took their vacation days. And especially in the summer, the offices were literally empty during certain months. And so eventually, I felt okay. I felt safe to take my vacation days too. So the culture of the company, the culture of the country, plays a huge role in why Americans don't take vacation and why Europeans do. But why?
According to Expedia, guilt, hustle culture, and the stress of planning a trip are why 65% of Americans say they're vacation deprived. Pew Research also found many Americans don't take time off because they don't feel like they need it. And they're worried about falling behind or dumping extra work on their coworkers.
Yes, I do check my emails. It's the first thing that I do when I get out of bed in the morning.
Even on vacation?
Even on vacation.
The mountain of work you have to come back isn't worth the time you would take off.
Because I feel like with jobs, it looks bad to call out sometimes. So you feel like you gotta go to work every day.
I feel guilty for taking off in the middle of the week and leaving somebody else all the work that I do.
This is how I felt too about taking all my vacation time in the US. There are also legal reasons why Europeans take their vacations too. In many European countries, there are legal obligations for employees to use up their vacation days or they lose them. And there are exceptions based on each country too. In the Netherlands, you have the obligation to use up the legal minimum of 20 days by July of the following year. And European companies also have a legal responsibility to remind their employees to use up their vacation days as well. For example, one thing that really surprised me was that when I was working in the Netherlands, the HR team would send out emails to remind people to use their vacation days. This would never happen in the US. But what's puzzling is that most US states, 46 out of 50, they also have a use it or lose it policy as well. But still, 50% of Americans still don't take all their vacation days. Well, one key thing to remember is that your job in America is at will. You can get fired at any time. There are fewer safety nets as compared to Europe, and in America, health insurance is tied to your company, and health insurance is expensive, and a hospital bill is even more expensive. So that's why many people don't feel as safe to take all their vacation days. But in Europe, there's a lot more protection for employees, so people feel safer, more secure to take all their vacation days. At least that's how I felt. But after learning about the labor laws and seeing everyone around me take their vacation days, eventually I also took all 5 weeks of my vacation days too. And that's why and how Europeans are able to take many vacations. I mean, when I lived in the Netherlands, I would average 4 to 5 vacations every year. And that's not to brag, but it's possible because it's easy, convenient, and really affordable to travel within Europe.
You can literally fly anywhere within Europe in a few hours for only $200 round trip. From Amsterdam, Barcelona is 2 hours away for about $100. London, 1 hour, $100. Paris, 1 hour, $200. Now compare this to traveling in the US. Flying from San Francisco to New York takes almost 6 hours. 4 hours to Chicago. About 3 hours to Seattle. The US is huge. It takes a lot of time to travel around. And when you don't have that much time, it's just easier to stay local. But in Europe, there's a bigger incentive to vacation. I mean, you can literally visit the world's most famous sites on just weekend trips.
You combine the long vacation days, a culture of taking vacation, and the traveling infrastructure in Europe. That's why there's such a big vacation culture in Europe. Well, why does this matter? All studies out there show that taking time off isn't a luxury, it's a necessity.
Taking vacation time is linked to a lower risk of heart disease as well as increased productivity. It can also promote better mental health and has shown a reduction in stress, depression, and anxiety.
Employees also have higher likelihoods of getting promoted when they take time off. And that's a reason why almost 100% of the entire world guarantees paid vacation. Now, I don't need to bring up more studies because it's common sense, but I would like to bring up some of my favorite stats that actually inspired me to take my vacation days.
The average American will work 80 to 90,000 hours over a lifetime. The average European will work 60 to 70,000 hours. So the average American will work 10 more years than the average European.
Now that's great if you love your job.
But Gallup tells us that 7 in 10 US workers are not engaged in their jobs.
And one of the top regrets of the dying is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. When you take time off, not only do you feel more recharged, more productive, but you also get to spend more quality time with your kids, your family, your loved ones. Well, what can Americans learn from Europeans about taking time off? Europe shows us that you can still be productive and take time off. Now, I believe a lot in work, especially work that aligns with your values. But what I really hope for myself, for family, loved ones, is to have the opportunity to spend time with the people and the things that truly matter to us. Now, I might be dreaming, but isn't that what America is all about? Because what I do know from history is that things can and will change. Because paid vacations weren't a thing 100 years ago. But now, almost 100% of the world guarantees it. Now, things take time. Change takes time. But there are also things that are under our control. We can choose to take more time off. Because in America, we often define ourselves by how hard we work. But what if we also define ourselves by how well we live? Now imagine yourself at 80 years old. What would you give up in order to spend an extra day with your kids, your family, your loved ones? How about an extra 10 years? Well, thanks for watching. Let's learn from each other. Tell us in the comments below, which country are you from? What job do you do? And how many days of paid vacation do you get? Well, I hope you take care, and I do hope that you take your vacation. And if you want to know the biggest differences between working in the US versus working in the Netherlands, watch the video on the screen.